we do see now China doing very much the same thing, which is being a mercantilist, setting up their economy to benefit their state first, right? Not to benefit free markets, not to benefit particular corporations, but to benefit the state first. Then they capture all of our USD. What are they going to do with it? They turn around, they buy up assets, productive farmland, national security type assets in the United States. Tell me what your thoughts are on the Chinese buying the farms, and articulate your position on the real estate holdings by foreign entities. And what do we do about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. Like we're going to see what China we can see what China's going to do with this farmland. I mean, they're going to take it up. It's a very valuable resource. They're going to take that and they are going to use it for their own benefit. They're going to sell us back food staples grown on our land at an exorbitant price, or they're going to export it and they're going to sell it for way more money because, like you said, they're a mercantilistic gangster capitalist uh, country. I mean, they call themselves communists, I guess, but they're really like communists in the way they deal with their own people. They're about as capitalist as the drug cartel is when it comes to their own trade. And so I think it's absolutely absurd that we're letting our number one geostrategic foe, China, who is at war with us, they're waging an economic and information war with us, that we're letting them buy up our land because somewhere some free market person just said, hey, whatever the market will bear. I mean, like if China can outbid an American for a piece of land, then the market says that the guy with the most money gets the land, right? Like, no, that's not how sovereign nation states do business. Like, no other serious nation in the world is going to let you and I sail over to their country and just start buying up their farmland. It's completely absurd, especially with a country like China. So I mean, I am. We should end foreign land ownership, period, because we're a serious country, and if there's land in our country, it needs to benefit our people. If that means that the price of that land goes down and whoever currently owns it, they don't get as much money as they would from a Chinese mega corporation or a Chinese investor, then so be it. I don't care about that at all. I care about what happens with that piece of America, it benefiting Americans.
Yeah, this is part of eradicating the globalist mindset that had been inputted into all of our brains throughout the 90s, right? Uh,
Yep.
there's some idea that if we just open up all of our borders, both for immigrants, both for capital and money, both for corporations and investment, foreign direct investment, that all these things are going to benefit the American people somehow.
Yeah.
I don't understand how allowing foreigners to use the United States real estate market as a bank, basically, in some respects, like New York, San Fran, Miami real estate is so grossly distorted by people who are just taking their cash from overseas and parking it in U.S. real estate and bidding prices up, and sometimes not even occupying it, right? I don't
Mhm.
see how that benefits us in the long run. And I certainly don't understand how selling off strategic assets to foreign countries, especially ones that hate us, especially the ones that hold 100 and 200 and 500-year grudges, especially ones that are still upset about the opium wars and blame us in England for that, who are still 100 years later pumping us full of opiates in a response. People forget this, dude. This is their response to the opium wars, dumping and flooding our country with fentanyl in very much the same way we did the same thing to them 100 years ago. That we should let those people buy up food producing assets in the United States of America when we've already shipped off overseas our insulin production, our fine tool
Yeah.
machinery production, all kinds of
Everything.
parts of our manufacturing chain. If COVID didn't highlight to us the dangers that we have in our supply chain on a national security level, I don't know what is. Maybe it's an army of diabetics in America not getting their insulin and dying that would make people like actually wake up to understand what has happened. So, Joe, it sounds crazy, dude, when you're like, hey, oh, nobody can buy, these people can't buy any land. It sounds extreme, but the regular people, like how do we get it taught in the schools? How do we promote this, nationalist, which not jingoist, not military dictatorship, not go invade Canada and Mexico after this because go America, but like nationalist to me means the first job of the government is to take care of the people.
That's right.
How do we spread that message?
I think starting with the starting principles of, hey, why do we have a government? Like, what's the history of governments? Why do people organize themselves in this way? as deep as you want to go, you can geek out on it and get back into the Westphalian Treaty and all that and the formation of nation states. But really getting into, hey, why did our founders make our country? Like, where was the world at then? I mean, we talked about it earlier. Like, we didn't want to be ruled by the monarchy. We didn't want to be ruled by essentially the globalist power that was Great Britain at the time. We said, hey, we want to be independent people. We want to create a government that just secures the God-given rights that we know that men have. And there's something very powerful and very beautiful in all that. And I think if we return to that, we don't shy away from it. We accept it, warts and all. Yes, at the time, did we recognize all men? No, there was slavery then. And then we fought an entire war, and 60,000 people died in one battle over the course of a couple of days in Pennsylvania. And like learn about all that and embrace it, but know that that's our heritage and that's what we're striving for. And then keep people's attention long enough to say where we got off the rails was we started doing things according to what was just best for the economy and what effect did that have on our country. We started shipping these jobs overseas. There's an economic issue, there's a national security supply chain issue, then there's a social issue. Like, people do need to work, and not everybody can go be a computer programmer. Like, people need to work and they need to build things. There's something inherently good in young men in particular being able to go and to build things and to provide for their family. Without that, society's completely and totally collapsed. I think we have to embrace that. I think as our grandparents' generation is dying off, pretty quickly. The GI generation that won World War II, what made them win World War II? We always think of the guys hitting the beaches, and as a former soldier, I do too, of guys out there engaged in hand-to-hand combat against Nazis and Imperial Japan. But really, the country decided that, hey, we aren't going to take this. We're going to push back, and we're actually going to go and we're going to save the world. We got into the war reluctantly, but we took industry, we took GM, we took these amazing American manufacturing companies, and we flipped them on a dime. And this is decades ago. We flipped them on a dime from building cars and building appliances to building bombers and to building munitions. And that was because the country wanted to win. We had that common purpose. And I think we have to reinstate that. And I think we're going to have to discipline and rein in our elites, because our elites are not in on that program right now whatsoever. We're going to have to go after them first, but then we're going to have great American rule of manufacturing, of our natural resources industries, but making sure that your average everyday American is seeing that. And the Trump economic policies, that's why we saw wages rise between 17 and 20. And 2019 was this amazing year for working class people, and we saw all that growth, because that when you got rid of all of the hype around Trump and all of the the media attacks, really what he was trying to do was bring back our manufacturing base. That was so much part of his message, and that's why he resonated in all these different places where Republicans had just really not been able to captivate people's attention for so long, because Republicans would come and say, like, well, trickle down economics says that we just need to make things really good for the guys at the top, and it will eventually trickle down to you because the guys at the top will want to buy more stuff. But then Trump came in and said, no, I want to bring back American manufacturing. I want us to build and produce again. I think that has to be the message. So the starting place of our history, but then getting towards, hey, what's the goal? What's this for? We're a sovereign nation that care deeply about our people. We're not just an economy. And I think we'll bring over people from the left with that message too.
I love it. I think you're absolutely right. I am nervous though. I'm a little skeptical, because let's go back to World War II example. It was easy to rally America on a common message, because there was really only a handful of ways to communicate to the American people. And so if you had the media and the newspapers just align in their message, for better or for worse, in this case, it was for better, right? Rallying the American people, urging industry to make the changes, whether, I don't know, it was compelled by law or not, it may have been, but at least getting public support behind it, right? And orienting the people towards this greater cause came through very concrete messaging, came through controlling the message and creating resonance in America. What we don't have today is resonance. And that is because of social media, and that is because of this. We actually don't have that resonance, for better or worse, again, because instead of one talking to the many, we've got the many talking to the many. And so now there's competing narratives, there's competing stories, there's competing realities. And I wonder, again, post-Westphalia here, I wonder if there is a way to rally everyone on the same story when everybody's getting all their own stories that they want. Everybody's getting their own narratives. People are doing their own research on everything. Um, it's a little deeper, more philosophical question, but like, do you think it's possible to rally the American people around a single truth like that, especially when we take into account the fact that the schools have been corrupted? They're teaching our kids to hate the country. They're teaching our kids that we started all this in 1619 with the idea of preserving black slavery. How insane does that sound? So what do you think about the lack of resonance? And by that, I mean people working in unison, rallying around the same message, the lack of resonance in 2021 and beyond. And is it even possible to think that we could rally everyone on the same idea?
I think in our current state, no, but I think that's gonna be the fight. Trying to educate people, bring them over to our side, or really just the side writ large that wants to care about the nation state and the American experiment, that wants to preserve that. I think to use the World War II example, our grandfathers had to go and fight, and many of them had to die in like actual physical kinetic combat. I don't think we're there right now. I think right now we're in this big information war where people like you and like I are like we're in this fight, we're in the mix. People see us out there, and hopefully our courage is contagious, and other people realize that they have to get out there and educate people in their own daily lives. Because right now, again, because of the media, all those cards are stacked against us. Most people don't want to. They don't want to engage because they don't want to get called a Nazi. Like they don't, for well, it's not fun getting doxxed. It's not fun having someone say that like I liked it better before, Jack was a white supremacist. So there's a Twitter account that says like Joe Kent's a fascist. Like I laugh at it, but like it's not cool. I'm lucky
Uh,
that I am a little bit older. I'm established, and like that's not going to affect my the way I feed my family in the long run. But and I know a lot of people aren't like that, but like this is going to be the fight of our generation, and we're either going to pull it off or we're not going to pull it off. So I think really getting that call to action, like, hey guys, there isn't going to be some big moment where you get to just have one moment, one burst of courage, and that's
mm,
going to be your great moment, your great war. Like we're in it right now. This is our generation's great war. I wish I could say that it was the global war on terror that I fought in and so many of my friends gave their lives in. But a lot of that was just setting the stage for where we are right now. I wish I could come back and kick back and say like the efforts I took overseas led to this great era of prosperity the way that the GI generation did. But we're not it. Like this is it right now. This is the fight. So I think that it's a rallying call, but it's also like, hey guys, like everybody's got to get up because there's work to do.